All right, NBA kicks off tonight, or tips off. I'm still in football mode. Kicks off, tips off tonight. So we had to bring in a true NBA thought leader. J.E. Skeets is going to be joining us. We'll talk a little hoops. I also want to talk a little Survivor because those guys are, of course, over in those streets on No Buff. We'll also talk about Andy's insane action. He's getting down on Underdog for tonight's slate. All today on the club. Let's do it. Geez, there we go. There we are. The instant reveal. J.E. Skeets down here joining us today on the club. Skeets, opening night, you fired up?
Yeah, I'm ready for I guess Jokic and Anthony Davis to kick the ball up in the air. Nice cool kickoff to the NBA season.
You know what? It's hard for me to transition part of the in-season tournament. Brain. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard they're going to do it like XFL style. They're just going to put the ball at a center court and have them race for it.
It's a scrum.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that clip that was circulating last week of Jokic at a practice or whatever, looking at his horses, and Jamal Murray's asking him what he's up to. Has there ever been a player of his caliber who cares so little about his day job? I mean, he does not want to be doing this.
I don't think so. Yeah, that clip was amazing. Because like at the beginning, you're like, wow, he's really locked in on his phone. And you're like, maybe he's going over some plays, or maybe he's like scouting the opposition. And then Jamal's like, yeah, what are you looking at? Just my horses, just seeing how we're doing. Yeah, it does feel like the NBA is his day job, and he just shows up, clocks in, kicks ass, and then goes home and watches the ponies.
Well, I think it's such a funny thing too, like with that whole convo, because everyone's so mad that like the Nuggets players aren't on the opening night, like images and everything. And I'm like, I don't think Jokic cares. Like, it's not like, I get it because they just won the title. He's the best player in the league, arguably, but like he's not trying to make himself marketable and like have all the fans be excited about him. So I don't really blame the NBA.
Yeah, there's like some Tim Duncan vibes for sure to Jokic, where they're just like elite, some of the greatest players of all time, and they don't care about everything else around the actual NBA. Like those 48 minutes, like they're pretty locked in and they're obviously dominant, but yeah, the rest of it they could do without.
Don't you think that he kind of also marks a shift in how even like national talking heads talk about basketball players? Because I remember the great Michael Jordan versus LeBron James wars, even the Kobe Bryant ones. He has the clutch gene. He cares. He's the first one in the gym. And then being like, oh, LeBron's distracted with his brand and all of this stuff. Like now we have a guy at Jokic who's like literally saying, I don't care. I'd rather be home with my family, sweating my horses. And it's like, but the analytics say he's the best player in basketball. I don't think anyone questions his clutch gene or whatever. It is very different than even just 10 years ago how we talked about these guys.
Yeah, it's jarring. You're right, because like around basketball, especially in the NBA, there is this idea of like who just wants it the most, who's got the dog in them, who's like a badass, like like trying to like quantify that. But the opposite is this guy. He does not care. Like he doesn't need to talk trash or like say the big post-game quotes. Like he doesn't care. He really doesn't. And so I think some fans, like, they're almost upset. They wish he was like that. They wish he had that MJ or Kobe, whatever persona to him. But in a weird way, like even Larry Bird, right? Like he was a shit talker. So he just doesn't care. And that's sort of, I don't know, it's refreshing. Like it's fun to have a guy like him and then guys that are the complete opposite. I think that's what makes for a fun league.
Clay, the Nuggets, defending champs, but looking at the title odds here, they're third. They're below both of those two Eastern Conference teams, the Celtics and Bucks, who obviously got big additions. Who is your title favorite right now, Clay?
I mean, I'm kind of leaning into the Bucks. Like I like the Dame move until it's proven that either they can be stopped in that pick and roll action that they're touting highly, which for good reason. I mean, not being a big X zone guy, I'm gonna say the Bucks for sure. I like the chips there. I think they kind of went in on the right table, and I don't know if the Celtics. I mean, I think Porzingis is the big wild card. Like if he plays as good as he looked in some of these preseason clips, like okay, watch out, Boston. I'm a little less bullish on him being able to do that over the course of a full season, just based on like how we've seen his career grow since going from the Knicks to the Mavs and so forth. So yeah, to me, it's an East team this year, though. I think it's swinging back to the East.
Andy, are you on that train too?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about it that much. No one pays me to think about who's going to win the title in next
You
summer.
haven't been
But I
getting my
think
checks?
no, not yet. Actually, maybe Allie's just taking them and cashing them. I wouldn't
Yeah.
blame her.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably leaning Nuggets repeating. I just think that like their team is so good, and they didn't really, losing Bruce Brown is a bummer, but it's not like he was the glue that held everything together there. And it seems like they have some young guys who they're pretty excited about, like stepping up and taking his place. And I just have to think that 1 year Michael Porter Jr. is gonna like be healthy and play good basketball, and so I'm excited. I think he'll potentially like take a leap and like pass Aaron Gordon as the third best player on the team and like be a better player. And so I think if I had to bet on someone, I would bet on them, but I don't really know. I feel like it's a pretty flat year. Like there's a bunch of teams you can make the case for.
Skeets, you're actually paid to give picks on who's going to win the NBA championship. So have you put yours in ink yet?
It's tough. I think Andy's right. It's like it feels like the last couple of years have been like this, where it's like you can convince yourself like 6 or 7 teams have a legit chance at maybe to win in the whole thing. And it feels like 10 years ago, maybe it was because we had remember Warriors, Cavs like every year there. It felt like there was like 3 teams that you're like, oh yeah, they could realistically win, but it's much more open, which is fun. It's weird to me. It's like it feels like with these like elite teams, these title contenders, like it's going to come down like to who is like the best third player on the squad. So it's like Porzingis with the Celtics is a huge bellwether. I think Middleton with the Bucks is a massive, like he has to get back to sort of all-star Middleton to pair then with Dame and Giannis. Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon. He was amazing in the postseason, sort of turned into that Wiggins role.
Bradley
Beal, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he's not playing here tonight in the opener, which sort of sucks for the Suns. But yeah, he's the third guy. So it's like who just pops off and like who's healthy, of course, and all that. But I don't know. I'm trying to talk myself into the Suns. I just think we're gonna see some insane offensive production, and that'll win a lot of regular season games. I know it's a different game in the playoffs, but I'll go with them over the Nuggets in the West, and then of course, if I had to pick, I guess I would go Bucks over Celtics in the East.
Skeets, do you think that P, I was just ask real quick.
No,
do you
go
think
ahead.
that the Suns are like the next, like this generation's Warriors in some respects? Like this is the next evolution of like offensive basketball. Like how bullish are you on them being able to figure out this? Like because all I'm saying is like if their third option in Beal starts dropping like 30 on a consistent basis, which is like not out of the realm of possibilities, like that's pretty scary. If one of KD and or Booker are also putting up like over 30 to 40 points on a regular basis.
Well, like remember, it was the Suns who ultimately gave the Nuggets their biggest test in the postseason, and that was solely because KD and Booker had those 2 insane games where they like combined for like whatever it was, like 80 plus points.
80 points, yeah,
it's crazy. So like now you had Beal, for sure. Like that's just another guy that's like has shown that he can score 25 or 30. It's different than the Warriors though, just because Steph Curry is like the ultimate cheat code. And as great as KD, as great as Booker, as great as Beal, in theory can be again, Curry's just a different beast with how he just, stretches the floor and just obviously has no problem shooting 15 threes a game. And in fact, we're like, shoot more. So a little different in that regard. But the big cue then will be like Draymond Green had a lot to say in a lot of those championships as an elite defender. So
yeah,
who will that be on the Suns? I mean, it's got to like Durant has to really lock in. Booker's got to be really good on the perimeter defensively. So we'll see it come postseason. But yeah, I'm high on them for sure.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun because like you think about other big kind of 3 teams and how they fit together, and the Warriors kind of being an amazing example of like all these guys complement each other like really well. And you had 2 incredible spot up shooters in Curry and Clay. Curry's ability to to get shots up off the dribble is impeccable. And then a lot of other big 3 teams like didn't quite have that same fit. Whereas like what I've heard a lot of people talk about the Suns is this notion that like all these guys can get a bucket on their own off the dribble. All of them are great spot up shooters. And that's a dynamic that we haven't really seen before, where you have this ability to space the floor and then find the open guy who can, do a lot more than some of these other teams that have had, correlated like a big 3, somebody like Ben Simmons comes to mind, right? That doesn't have that offensive capability, or you lack that ability to just like get a pop-up bucket in those situations. So I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be a big swing. Either like they're going to blow everyone out of the water and be like number 1 in the West, or struggle with injuries and be limping into a play-in game in a lot of respects. So
yeah, for sure. And can they like for at least 6 minutes in every game play decent defense, like really commit and lock down? Because scoring is not going to be an issue
Getting Nurk too is a highly underrated part of the Suns as well that I haven't really even, chewed on enough.
Skeets, who would be on your, it sounds like the Suns can be a very fun team to watch. I know there's a ton of enthusiasm for Wembanyama. Who are your other top like league pass teams of just other storylines that you don't want to miss night in and night out?
I think the Pacers are a super fun watch. I think they were last year when Halliburton was playing. I think they had a 500 record. If you saw him in any of the international games, even like he is just, that guy pushes the tempo. And they've got some more guys around him now that I think is going to be a lot of fun, and some of their young guys getting some more experience. So I think the Pacers will be a sneaky fun watch. I'm still very high on the Kings being an entertaining team. I know one of my colleagues, John Hollinger at The Athletic, he had the Kings like 11th in the West, thinking they're going to like fall back to earth and that they got lucky last year with nobody getting injured, even though Sabonis had like a broken hand for like a couple months, played through it. I don't see it. I really don't think the Kings are going to fall off that much, at least in the regular season. So I still think they're flirting with 50 wins, and they're fun as hell. I mean, their offense is just as elite as anyone's. I mean, leading the league and maybe the all-time offensive efficiency last season. So those two teams, they pop to mind. I'll be like checking in as much as I can for those guys.
Andy, I feel like even since we did that show with Zakarian a couple of weeks ago when we drafted a team, and there was kind of some skepticism about Wembanyama as like a fantasy asset. Is he going to be able to, deliver as much? Did he just rocket up draft boards there in the past few weeks?
It's total insanity. So like I said, I've done a lot of drafts for tonight's games, but Underdog also has drafts live for tomorrow's games where Wembanyama is playing. And so there are 12 games. So you're getting 24 teams to pick from as far as players go. And he's going like third overall in these drafts as far as just like, expected points scored tomorrow. I think it's a little bit too high. I'm not drafting him that much there. But like the hype for him after what he did during these preseason games is just like through the roof. And I mean, the stuff that he was doing was totally insane. Like, Pete, did you see the video of the team like practicing for his closeouts on threes where they had it? They had. Let me see if I can find it and send it.
It was God Jam God. That's who it was. Yeah, he had like almost like giant pads, like but extensions, like almost like broom handles or whatever, like on his hands, and would yell out Wemby to challenge like the shooters on the Mavs to get ready for them because they
high school basketball coaches everywhere are so proud right now with the whole like, broom trick closeout drills.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
I mean, every photo of Wemby looks like it's AI. Like it looks fake. Like any block or whatever play he's doing.
Whoever is the Spurs like team photographer this year or gets like credentialed for their games is going to like just balloon up with some amazing, shot opportunities. Because some of the ones, like you said, like these ones where he's stretching out and he's so far back from the guy and the person has no like, trajectory to get the ball over his hands are just insane. This is incredible. It's still not even tall enough to be honest.
No, it's like God Jam God's small. Yeah.
It's like
not even
in
enough.
NFL. They'll be like, oh, we're going against Lamar Jackson this week, so we'll have a guy on our practice squad be Lamar Jackson. And it's like this is the equivalent of we get a guy on stilts to pretend he's Wembanyama here. Do you, Skeets, like how excited can you get about him like as a prospect? Like what is the ceiling for him? Because a lot of people toss his name around as far as from like a prospect level being the most exciting since LeBron.
Yeah, I think it's like fair. The more you see of him, I got a chance to see him at Summer League live. That was like electric, just like the vibe in the building. And he didn't have a great game, followed up with a really good one. But then all these performances, here in preseason, I know it doesn't matter and all that, but like, man, the guy's comfortable with the ball. He is an absolute freak. Like you could argue that no one in history already, he hasn't even played a second in an NBA game, like has been able to like just take up that much room and close it that quickly because of his speed and his size and obviously his wingspan and his timing. And there are people like trying to talk themselves into him for Defensive Player of the Year, which is
I just listened to the Low Post
like
literally an hour ago where they were talking about it.
Yeah, it's a bold pick. I think for that one you got to play 65 games. I mean, for all the awards except Rookie of the Year, you got to hit 65. So like, will the Spurs slow play him? Like, will he pick up a weird injury because of his height and because how strange his body is? I mean, that's always a concern. But to answer your question, Pete, like I've convinced myself, like the more you see of them, you're like, oh my God, this is something. This is insane. This is cool. I'm a bit older, but like Ralph Sampson was similar when he came into the league. Like he was a freak 7'4" type guy that could move still like a gazelle. So there's some similarities there, and he had a short career. So hopefully Wemby's not like that. But yeah, at their peak, it's going to be fun. Like the hype is real for tomorrow night.
Yeah,
that's going to do some big numbers. I think. I think that's on ESPN. I think Mavs Spurs. So I'll be watching.
Yeah, and so it's interesting as far as the defensive player of the year. No rookie has ever won it. Not surprisingly, but I think what they were saying as well is no rookie's ever been on first team all defense. And so I think he definitely has a chance to at least, try for it. But the challenge is that generally first team all defense, like whoever is center on that team is probably also winning defensive player of the year. Yeah. And so if he gets one, he's probably going to get both.
Well, yeah, the Spurs were the worst ranked defense in the league last year too. So I guess the narrative is baked in for him. If like they suddenly skyrocket to a top 10 defensive team and he's a big part of it, then maybe. But yeah, that bet, I mean, it's fun, but I don't think it's likely that he would win DPOY. But yeah, rookie of the year, him and Chet, and maybe Scoot. That should be a fun race, I think, especially between him and Chet.
Yeah,
did you guys
I'm
see
excited for that.
Of Greg Popovich getting mad that Steve Kerr said he's looking rejuvenated because of Wembanyama. He had this quote where he's like, what am I, just like some old guy that's in a coma now and I needed Victor Wembanyama like before this? Like, he was so offended that he's saying, now I look rejuvenated.
Yeah, he's getting up there. I mean, he just signed a 5-year extension, Pop did, to keep coaching after, they hit the lottery there and got Vic. So, yeah. No, I hadn't seen that clip, though. I'm going to have to seek that one out.
Well, it is pretty like again, sorry for my football analogies, but you have like Bill Belichick, who is the Greg Popovich of the NFL, who they haven't gotten a number 1 overall pick, where it'd be like if he got the best overall quarterback and then it's like, all right, this guy gets to keep doing this. I bet you would feel rejuvenated. Whereas Bill Belichick is everyone's kind of like, hey, your time is coming to an end. So getting a generational prospect, I bet can certainly put some pep in your step.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got some people that work for the Spurs, like in the organization, and they're like, they've been texting me throughout the summer, and it's all like, this guy is something else. Like, he does something every day in practice that, like, we've never seen before. But he's got a long way to go. And, like, they're first to admit that, too. Like, they're not going to – and this is the Spurs. Like, he has landed in the perfect organization for, like, hey, we slow play things. Like, we don't need you to be Tim Duncan and go help us win a title right away. That'd be amazing if you did, but – They won't like rush this like some other team probably would, and like too much pressure and all that. It's like perfect that he's there. I don't know if the NBA is happy that he's in San Antonio, but are they going to wish he was in New York or LA? Sure, but for him and his career, it's the best thing to be with Pop and that organization there, I think.
So what's the deal with the Lakers this year? Obviously, they play tonight. I see they're still top 6 in title odds, and right after Nuggets and Suns. There, I mean, are we getting close to the end as far as LeBron being a difference maker, or can he keep this going for a little bit longer?
I will refuse to bet against him, like, falling off a cliff. I am fascinated to see if LeBron really targets 65 games played, because he's made all NBA for like, I want to say like 19 straight seasons. He didn't make it his rookie season. I think he's made it every year since. Now we've got these new rules, which means he has to play 65 games. He hasn't done that as a Laker. So that's sort of something to watch. Like LeBron takes that stuff very seriously, those accolades and those streaks, and
20 sounds a lot better than 19.
Yeah, right. That's amazing. Yeah. So I think he will probably do it too if he wants to. They're going to be good because they were like a completely different team after the trade deadline. Like Pelinka like knocked it out of the park at the deadline. All the moves he made, keeping a lot of these guys, getting Reeves on a good deal, obviously re-signing Rui Hachimura. It's always going to come down to like, for their championship, aspirations, it's Anthony Davis. Like he has to be incredible and out there. So yeah, they're going to be, they're on a lot of people's short list. I think like one of those top 6 or 7 teams, like I said, that you would have as like, oh yeah, things of course could break for them to win another title. So they're going to be great because they're just like such a different team than they were at the start of last year with the whole Westbrook experience.
Yeah, Andy, how do you feel about the Lakers?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about them. I mean, I love LeBron, and I'm gonna root for him, kind of no matter what. So I'm definitely like a little bit biased, but I think the AD is gonna have a really good year. He's kind of in a bit of a And he's like getting older, and I don't know, something about this season. I just feel like he's going to have a really good year if he can stay healthy. Where it's like this would be the year he pushes to win Defensive Player of the Year, to be in the conversation for MVP. And I think that they've done a really good job building out a team around them, where it's not just like they need LeBron to do everything all the time. And they have some trade assets as well. Like, I'd be surprised if D'Angelo Russell is still on the team come the trade deadline. Like, basically the only way he is if he's like playing out of his mind, in which case that's a great problem to have. And so I think that they are like pretty well set up. I mean, the kind of like we were saying earlier, it's a pretty flat league right now, I feel like, and it's going to be a hard path to get back to the conference championship even, but I think that they'll have just as good a shot as almost anyone.
Skeets, do you dabble? Do you do any drafts? Do you have any like old school fantasy leagues you play in?
I hung up my my fantasy pen
Yeah.
a long time ago now. Well, I guess like 5 or 6 years ago. But I was like I was one of the OG fantasy players where it was a friend had to calculate all the stats. And
yeah,
in Canada, we would get like once a week in one of the national papers there, they would put all the stats for the players on every team on this one page. And it was like the tiniest font ever. And so my buddy Ken would crunch the numbers because we would have drafted teams and all that. So I did it for a long time. And then like, of course, this is my job. And it's like at a certain point, it's like, okay, it's too much. Like I'm just too thinking about this all the time. So I did step away from the fantasy game. But yeah, I live vicariously through you guys and all your best ball drafts and all your bets and all stuff like that. That's fun.
Yeah, well, like managed fantasy NBA leagues are a lot of work.
A lot.
It's like, it's a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah. And it if you want to be good at it with like the guys coming in and out of the roster, and then you're suddenly picking up like you got to be like first to get Xavier Tillman after, the Steven Adams news breaks. And like you just got to be, you're right. You got to be on it if you really want to help your chances. So yeah, I mean, I'm already too plugged in, so I don't need that as well.
It's so funny you say that, Skeets, because I, in a weird way, associate you with fantasy basketball because I discovered the Basketball Jones. I was a junior in college, and that's when I got hardcore into fantasy basketball. And then I was like wanting content. I was like, I want to listen to stuff regularly. And I found your guys' podcast. I think you did like a guest series on Deadspin because I had recently found Deadspin. You were doing like weekend blogging sometime. And then I found the Basketball Jones and I was like, oh, this is great. And so I just remember like grinding waivers. I'm trying like who has 5 games this week instead of 4 while listening to every one of your Basketball Jones apps. So you guys will always be intertwined for me in that regard.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really have any fantasy basketball segments, but yeah, just in talking about the rosters and guys coming up and opportunity. Yeah, I could see how that could help. Yeah, that's way back in the day, man. Holy crap. Like you're talking like 07, 08 at this point now.
Yeah. That was it was I had this string there where I like found Deadspin, I found Will Leach, I found you. Like still Ski, I don't know if I've told you this before, but your spoof like roast send-off video for Will Leach that you did the dub is still like one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the internet. And I know this is like so hyper niche, but I still think about that video occasionally.
It's still out there, I believe. I think it's on YouTube still. The Will Leach roast, I guess it was called, when he was leaving Deadspin. Yeah, some good times. I just remembered that Will Leach and AJ Delario were on Pros versus Joes. Remember that show?
Really? Okay, I didn't know they were on that together.
Yeah, they were. They took. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Who was like a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback? They called him Slash because he was like really athletic. Who was that?
Was it Cordero Stewart?
Yeah. Did they call him that? Am I crazy?
I might be making it. I don't know if that.
I think it was him though. They played basketball against him.
Okay.
Yeah, at least
that's
Will
so
Leach
funny.
Did. Yeah. I think they're bringing back Pros versus Joes too.
Well, they definitely want to call it Big Ben Slash, so we know that much.
No, I was gonna say it's not Big Ben. No. Speaking of Basketball Jones, by the way, can we get an update on Tas? I know I saw your guys' photo with him. We've been very worried about him after seeing that initial post. Is he doing better?
He's doing a lot better. Yeah. I can't believe it was only 4 or 5 weeks ago that he got, for those that don't know, he got struck by a vehicle while he was on foot outside of the Braves game, actually, up here in Atlanta. Which turned out it was like an Infinity SUV too. So not the vehicle you want to get hit by. So he had fractured skull and fractured face, a lot of brain bleeding. I mean, like he was really in rough shape initially in the first week, was pretty damn scary. But now 4 or 5 weeks later, he's out of the hospital. He's outpatient rehab. If you see him, if you saw the photo, it's like you couldn't even tell this guy.
I was like looking, trying to expect it. I'm like, he looks great.
He looks incredible. As JD joked, our producer joked like a couple of weeks ago, he's like, this guy's going to come out looking better somehow after getting hit by a vehicle.
Yeah.
So he looks good. The hair looks great. And so now he's just slowly
symmetrical.
getting back into it in terms of just cognitive abilities and stuff like that. But like every time I've seen him, it's more and more tasks of old. So I'm pretty confident he's on a road to 100% recovery. I don't know when that'll be, when he'll be back with us, but hopefully weeks, maybe months. And the good thing is he's at home with his kids and stuff like that, and is doing a lot better. So thanks for asking. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I felt sick to my stomach when I saw that post, because it seems so serious in the way that he's recovered so quickly.
It was wild, man. Like, you don't wish that upon your worst enemy, let alone your best friend, seeing him in rough shape there. Yeah. Like it was scary. It was very, very scary, but luckily he was healthy and he's stubborn as fuck. So like, he was like, that guy wanted out of that hospital, man. And he was going to do anything he could. So yeah, now the rehab is going outpatient, and he likes that a lot more than being in a hospital every night. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I bet.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure he'll get to rest up, watch a lot of ball, and be back firing off hot takes here very soon.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Clay, what else are you looking forward to, whether tonight or NBA this season?
Yeah, I will go back to like your league pass question. Timberwolves are gonna be a team that I'm gonna have it pretty much lock buttoned on. Want to be. I'm not early by any means, but I want to be on the Anthony Edwards train as it's leaving the station this year. The rocket ship going up. So I'm going to be pretty big Wolves fan. I think last year I love the Kings games, and even like a lot of the Thunder games with SGA are always a blast to watch too. So it's happening to a little bit of my Andy lore there, but Timberwolves for me, I'm very excited about. And yeah, I don't know, tonight, I mean, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how well the Nuggets play, because it's a ring ceremony night. I also like low-key think you can create some narratives there about like LeBron both like being ready for a year, 21, 22, whatever the fuck we're at now, and like watching them get their like championship banner, and he's just like, motivated as shit, like, LeBron, chest pump mode. So I'm kind of like, I'm on the Lakers tonight, and I like the Warriors too. I think the Warriors are gonna, they've looked sharp in the preseason. Curry was in midseason form. He used one. I mean, I saw a joke on Twitter where he's like, he used one of his 3-game winners all season in the preseason on that amazing shot. But they look great too. So I don't know. I'm excited. I think it's fun. 2 fun matchups. And more importantly, though, for the season, I am very intrigued by this whole Amazon ordeal. And are we losing inside the NBA with TNT? Because that would be like gut wrenching, especially like halfway through the season. So I'm kind of holding my breath. And waiting on the edge of my seat to see how that plays out, because if we get rug pulled mid-season on some TNT action and we're going over to the Bezos land, I'm gonna need a heads up. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's not happening during this season. You don't have to worry about that, and I don't think they're going anywhere either.
Skeets, can you set, because I'm not aware of this, will you give the people the
like the TV rights deal is coming up. It's at the end of 24-25, their current structure, and a lot of that's games with ESPN and TNT, like Clay's talking about inside the NBA there. And so of course the NBA is thinking like, man, we are going to make a killing here now. They're ballparking anywhere between 50 billion and 75 billion for their next chunk of television and streaming rights, and so what everybody's wondering is it just going to be with ESPN and TNT still? Probably not. Is an Amazon going to get in play? Is a Netflix, for crying out loud, a Google, an Apple, and how will
HBO
the NBA
jump in the ring?
What's that?
So HBO jumped in the ring, I believe. They're getting
HBO though is with Warner Brothers Discovery and all that. So you can now stream. Yeah. I think you're going to be able to stream TNT games on Max.
Cool.
But you don't you don't. That won't be the only place to watch it, at least for this one. But everybody's just wondering. Yeah, well, because I guess Amazon probably wants to do what they did with Thursday Night Football and have like their own night. So maybe do they get Thursday night? That would be weird with that being TNT. Maybe they get a Tuesday night, stuff like that. So
I feel like a Tuesday night would make sense because it's such a small slate normally on a Tuesday night.
Yes. I also think they're going to the NBA is going to want to be like, hey, Amazon, we're going to put a lot of those in-season tournament games on those Tuesday nights, right? So, hey, build those up, like get people a little more interested in those. So, yeah, I think there'll be obviously TNT still, ESPN, and then probably one, if not two, more like sort of media partners that'll likely stream these games. Because the NBA wants to go into streaming, of course, like they already do with some of these legacy partners, but they need more of that because it's just younger audiences. So.
Are you guys going to be doing, because you guys have done those, is it like a Thursday night kind of companion stream type hangouts? Are you guys going to be doing those again?
Yeah, we do them on Playback.
You're doing them on Playback now.
Yeah, which we started doing last season, and then we continued throughout FIBA, which was a really fun time. I mean, the times were really fun because it was like, breakfast sort of
in the morning.
Yeah, it was sort of cool though. But yeah, we're going to do one tonight actually after this. So we're going to do like a pregame stream, like from 6:30 to 7:30, just to hang out with the No Dunks fans, get ready for the Lakers Nuggets game. And then tomorrow night at 7:00, we're going to do like bouncing around League Pass, because Playback has actually signed a deal with the NBA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
cool.
so this is big news that I think maybe I just broke here, but I think is maybe coming out later today. It might have been a little alpha. But yeah, it's a pretty big deal for them, and so it'll be a little bit more by the book. Like you'll need to have either a League Pass or whatever it is to actually watch the games with us. But still a fun hang, even if like some people don't even like have the game on. They're just like kicking it with us, and we're talking to the chat. So yeah, we're gonna do that again a lot more this season. It's really cool. It's an amazing platform. Like I remember when I saw it last year.
It really is. Yeah.
We did a few, and I was so jealous because I did a show last year on Sundays for NFL called Tilt Space, and we did it on Getplayback, and then they lost their like NFL thing, and we couldn't do the red zone. And I was like, it was perfect for that communal sweat, because now on Thursday nights over on my other channel, Ship Chasing, we do a companion stream for Thursday Night Football, and people are like, we're not synced up. You're spoiled. You're ahead of me, and it's just like it sucks. And Getplayback just completely solves that.
Yeah, it's obviously their hopes are the NBA now officially coming on board, that they're going to like the NFL will line up and MLB will line up. Like they got to see obviously that it results in more people subscribing and interacting and all that. Like they will. I mean, the NFL is always the slowest one there, right? And they might just build their own damn thing. I mean, they're so big, but yeah, we've really enjoyed Playback. It's been a lot of fun.
I mean, it's so obvious. It's the way things are going, where people want, commentators from their niche. And we've already seen it. Like there's a whole reason that Manning Cast has had success. People are like, yeah, I'd rather hear from Peyton Manning than the broadcast, or why people would rather tune in for a No Dunks, companion stream. So I think once those, the same thing happened with highlights, right? Where they used to like shut down any highlights that were shared. It's like, the NBA was progressive with that. And it's like, well, now it's the best highlight factory in all of sports, because you let people share that stuff.
No, for sure. I remember, like, to bring it back to the basketball, Jones, I remember talking with Tas, like, back in 08, 09, like, man, how cool would it be if we could all jump on and all watch the game at the exact same time, and we could bring people up on stage. That's another thing you can do in Playback. Obviously, talk to the chat. You can drop flame emojis, like, I don't know if we were saying flame emojis in 09, but you get my point. Like, we were like
the general idea.
Yeah, like this would be so cool. And so I think I found it through, our common friend Mike Zakarian. I think he fired up a Playback once and invited me on, and I'm like, get in there. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, this is amazing. Like, it's not buggy at all. We're all watching the same screen. Like, And then, so I was like, you got to tell me, who is this? Put me in contact with them. I'm like, this is exactly what I thought about, like, that we would like to do like 10 years ago or more. So yeah, it's cool. And hopefully it just keeps growing.
Best feature of Playback is the flame and ice emoji.
Getting the ice. Nothing tilts you more than get the ice when you're talking.
It's great. I love it.
It's the RIP Tilt Space.
The 2023 equivalent of having a tomato thrown on you on stage, the ice.
It's true.
There.
True.
Skeets, I know you don't do you kind of separate your work from your pleasure here a little bit, but were you down to look at some of the pick'ems in the lobby for us on Underdog and see some leans for some players you like tonight?
All right, let's try it.
Let's see here. Underdog does have a special going tonight, a gimme here. LeBron James over a half a point. I think we can lock that one in for us.
Although
I'm gonna take the higher.
The higher.
Not Bijan. We're not getting Bijan.
Yeah, the Bijan.
Oh, the Bijan. Even I know about that.
Yeah. Let's see here. We can't do another LeBron if we put this one in. I'll just scroll through. We got Anthony Davis. We got Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Rui, Tarion Prince, Christian Wood. Gabe Vincent. Skeets, do you have any players that you're very
Like the
bullish
menu.
on tonight, just in general?
What was Reeves' line at there? What do you have
Yeah.
for Reeves? Curious
A
about
little
that.
AI.
Let's see. Reeves, 14.5 points, 4.5 assists, 8 rebounds plus assists, half a steal, 1.5 turnover if you want to anti-sweat him, 3.5 free throws made, 10.5 field goal attempts. Anything jump out to you?
God, they're good at setting these, aren't they? I know it's only game
They
one,
are.
but man,
They're
you're like,
good.
God, how are you so good at this? I think I do lean towards the over points. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do it.
I like
Yeah.
it.
I'm okay with that.
Austin Reeves will go 14.5. Andy will obviously need to get at least one Denver selection in here, but anything else
Or the
jumping
other
out to
game.
you?
Or the other game.
Yeah.
We
We
got
gotta
to play
extend the
with.
sweat.
So, yeah.
Yeah. We got
Let's
Nick in
see.
the chat likes the Michael Porter Jr. over 13.5 points.
I like that.
I don't mind that. Kind of plays the narrative that, Joker's not going to be like gung ho for game one. It's the start of his work week again. This guy's going to be tilted as hell.
Well, isn't there an element to or I'll ask this question to you guys because, even in the NFL, right? Like we're kind of like guessing preseason usage. We get some clues, but a lot of times we'll show up week one and we'll be like, holy cow, we didn't know this team was planning to utilize this player this well. Do you get swings like that in NBA? Because you guys were talking about Michael Porter Jr. being like, what if this is the year he's fully unleashed? Like, could there be an element where like going forward rest of season, his line is 3 or 4 points higher because we just didn't know what his role was going to be this year?
Yeah, unleashed is a funny term in the NBA though, right? Because like unless you're really a point guard or like a superstar level guy, it's like Michael Porter Jr. is always going to generally get his shots.
Green light.
Whether he hits them and those corner threes are going and he's attacking and maybe getting the line a little, stays out of foul trouble. So like that's why I find it very difficult with the NBA. Like both those, like Reeves and Porter, of course they could go for 20 plus points tonight, but it's the first game.
Careful.
They struggle to shoot. They got to pick up a dumb second foul early. You're off the floor. You lose your rhythm. So I like those picks, though. I mean, I would take both of those. Going higher. Yeah.
There's a lot of that too, Pete, where it's like depending on injury correlation. Like a lot of players do have different usage depending on what the lineup they're in with.
Yeah,
that's like something I've like learned from my DFS play over the years, and like even like little niche things. Like I remember last year, there's a strong correlation between like Michael Porter Jr. in good games when Joker was playing because he would often like kick it out to him for these 3-pointers that he was not getting these shots if Joker was out of the lineup. And so like things like that, like it does matter a lot. And then every year is a new thing between like coaching changes, like offensive philosophies. Like you can kind of get into a lot of the more nitty gritty that is even like above my comprehension, but it's fun stuff to dive into for sure. Like I love those angles for like pick 'em stuff.
Andy, anything jumping out to you in the lobby?
I'm scrolling and looking.
Skeets, how's Booker's toe?
Booker is he's he's very likely to play tonight. But yeah, apparently that toe is.
Newest thing I just saw while we've been on here is that Woj said that Bradley Beal might play, actually.
Oh, wow.
He said on TV like half an hour ago that it's like back spasms and he's better now than he was this morning, and he's moving closer to being a true game time decision that he's going to warm up before the game and see how he feels.
Would that make like a Booker or Durant number going lower more appealing?
If he plays.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But I think both of those guys are just like such alphas that I wouldn't even feel super safe. But I feel like potentially what would be more interesting would be taking one of the guys who's going to be filling in for Beal. And like I think that some of these guys just like aren't that good and they could hit the unders even if Beal doesn't play.
Like a Grayson Allen?
Like Grayson Allen would get more opportunity if Beal doesn't play for sure.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I can't condone a Grayson Allen pick.
Yeah. I mean, you better hit
we would be on the lower side, Clay.
Yeah.
We'd be on the lower.
I think you could do like a Grayson Allen under 9.5 points or something. Okay. Where it's like
yeah, like Mookie's saying Eric Gordon or Grayson Allen under, especially if Beal does play and the back is fine. I like the Grayson under. I don't mind that. I mean, he'll hit a couple threes and still stay under, yeah.
Like Booker, what about 2 threes feels nice line because it's like could push at worst. I mean, like 2 threes feels reasonable to
You want to do that as opposed to the points?
I'm throwing it out there for conversation at least. Like I think if we need to get a lower so we know ball, then like let's go Grayson out and under. Like
that's the other thing, Skeets.
It's optics. I get it.
You look like a fish if you only take hires because that's what Square Sports bettors and fantasy players do. So you got to throw in one lower, and then they're like, oh man, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Do they have a line for Grayson Allen trips yet? Because I want to put that as a suggestion into Rudman. Like I would take a
5.5 3 points
half.
Attempted. 5 threes attempted.
I need over half a trip with spicy nugget from.
There you go.
I also kind of like Kevon Looney over 10 rebounds.
Okay.
With Draymond Green not playing, I think he'll probably get a pretty decent run. And he is an awesome rebounder when he's getting serious minutes.
Well, how about this, Andy? We've had some success when on the Friday Off and On the Clock show where like the guys we've been drafting a ton, then we go and look at their numbers or like who we're kind of ahead of market on. And that's been like a good indicator for guys who end up going higher. Who is like your most drafted player tonight?
Oh man, let's see. Chris Paul is my most drafted player right now. Chris Paul and Anthony Davis, Drew Eubanks, Nurkic, Kevon Looney, Aaron Gordon.
Okay. You guys should have seen Skeets' face right before we went on the air when Andy revealed to him that he did 200 drafts, and Skeets is like, oh, for the season. And Andy was like, no, for tonight.
For tonight.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, well, like I said, it's all robots that do this. I'm up to 333.
Added 100
it just keeps going. Like, and how much? Like, what does one cost you? Like one contest? Like, or do you do different levels? Or
they're $5 per entry.
Okay.
That's so
it adds up.
Yeah, it does.
How do we feel about this one, Clay? Are you willing to sign off on this as the official pick'em slip of the club?
I can sign off on this. Yeah, I'm into it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We're gonna lock this in. I will.
It's a $10 max because it's a.
$10 max. I was like, wow.
Because we have the LeBron boost.
That's right. With the
they
boost.
know we're gonna hit it. That's why.
They're scared.
They're scared.
They're scared. They're terrified.
I'll drop this in the link if you guys want to partake with us. Skeets, we do got to talk a little Survivor because I'm deep in the weeds on it this year. You guys have your great Survivor show. No buffs. And I would say, I don't know how you're just feeling kind of macro, but to me, this is a super fun season with a lot of personalities.
Super fun, but we have a 50% quit rate right now.
True.
So that's not great.
Which is not great.
That's not great. 4 episodes in, we've had 2 people basically quit. I know one of them went to vote. I guess Sean, the last one. But 2 have quit, Hannah and Sean. But I'm with you. I'm in on it. Some big personalities. I love the 90-minute episodes. Like, I think they're killing it with that. We get more camp life. We get to see like why people are leaning certain ways more than others. I think like when they had 60 minutes, it's like at the end of it, sometimes you're like, how the hell did that happen? Like, why did that happen? You're just left in the dark. But it's setting up to be pretty good. I got to know, are you team Katura or team Bruce? It's a big debate on no buffs.
So I've said this to my wife, Lauren, where I'm like, if I was on Survivor and in Bruce's camp, I would certainly be Katura. I would be rolling my eyes. Yes. I'd be so sick of it. But as someone at home watching it, I'm loving every second of it. But Bruce. I knew if I was in her shoes, I would be so angry.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. I think I'm on the same page there. Where like maybe I'm just team neither of them. They both kind of annoy me.
Yeah, but I had Katura as my my winner's pick at the start of the season. Obviously, you're just throwing a dart at the dartboard, but I'm a little concerned after this edit she's getting here where it's like blinders on. It's all Bruce. And I feel like that's never a good sign for someone's chances to win. And if anything, it feels like she's going to get blindsided or voted out or something like that. But I do like it.
Well, it's just if it ends up culminating in like them against each other, no one ever wins in that.
Exactly.
No one ever comes out the other side of that.
Yeah.
The only time it ever worked was Gabler.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The alligator.
It is like fascinating too, and why the Survivor dynamics are so fun is because it's like, I think you ask any of those guys, they're super fans heading into the show. They know it's optimal to be friendly with everyone, make alliances with everyone, keep your options open. And yet when you're out there and someone's tilting you and making you mad, it's just like, I can't help myself. I'm just like human at the end of the day. Yeah. Whereas like a guy like Caleb, you see him give that olive branch to Emily, and holy cow, that has broken really nicely for him.
Oh my God, he's in a great spot. I mean, I'm too concerned he's playing too well. Like,
Yes,
the guy looks like he can play Survivor, like all levels of Survivor. The
his
physical
jump shot.
Yeah, oh my God, he's got
Yeah.
a great jump shot. He put a photo up on Twitter, like he's Canadian too, so he's got that going for him. He played like sort of a high level in high school basketball, like when he was growing up. So he's obviously got some skills, and he's just so social and like so good at talking to people. But man, I hope he wins, but I'm like, there's no way he's getting the edit like this right now. Like this guy, they're gonna vote him out. They're gonna be like, he'll win. We can't take him.
Yeah, those in that chatter's already coming up. Like you get this guy on the panel. I don't know if I've ever seen like a 180 edit on someone than what we saw from Emily opening episode. Like when she went after Bruce on the boat in the opening, I was like, that is coming in so hot. Like the fact that she survived it and then turned around and now she has this new lease on life and she's everybody's favorite. I'm like, what happened with her?
Oh my God. Yeah, we were pumped on No Buffs because like our biggest like gripe with the last couple of seasons, maybe even the last like 10 seasons when I think about it, is like there's no villains anymore. Like it's all everybody has like an incredible story why they're on the island. It's like you can't really be like they're all like smart players for the most part, or likable people. And it's like I miss the days of just like straight up Johnny Fairplay, like just badasses that were just jerks and losers and just villains. Like they make for great TV, you know. Obviously, Russell was an iconic villain. So we were excited that we were like, Emily, oh my God, she might be a villain. And then, one episode later, you're suddenly like, you feel bad for her and you're like, she's turned it around. And like, I wonder if she's going to like almost not backstab, but take out Caleb.
That's what I'm feeling.
And built her back up and taught her to, she'll be diabolical and voted out.
I think Emily will have no problem stabbing anyone in the back.
No,
none
she's
at all.
She's playing Survivor. She knows what she's doing. Nor should she.
It's funny. This is we're watching. I watch it with Allie, and we're watching the second episode, and Kelly was on doing one of the like confessionals, and Allie was like, "I swear I know her from somewhere," and I was like, "Her face seems familiar, but like I don't recognize her." And it turns out they went to high school together, and she was like 1 year removed from her, and she like actually knows her, not like they're best friends or anything, but like a bunch of people she knows from high school like follow each other on Instagram and stuff. It's really funny.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I think Mike Zakarian, to bring it back to him, I think his wife knew Owen.
Yeah, you guys had into the classic.
Yeah, he came on our show. That was like hooked up through Mike and his wife, and like he was amazing. Guy was everyone we've met that's been on Survivor, like Owen, Wendell, we've had on. They're just incredible. Like you're like. You meet them and you're like, oh yeah, I see why you got on Survivor. You know what I mean? Like they're just charismatic people that obviously like killed it in like interviews with Probst or whoever like they had to talk to. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense why you're on there.
I know you guys have talked about it a little bit on the show too, and I've been like, I go back and forth on it, like this new era of the show where everyone's like a super fan, and that obviously has some benefits, but then at times it's like, I don't want to hear your meta analysis on what the game is. And it's like, I feel like they either need to throw way more curveballs to throw these guys off or try to do some casting that isn't super fans.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I feel like they're starting to do a little bit better, at least getting more, not like they started leaning into like the Survivor geeks. And there was a lot of them out there. And you're like, I think there's too many out here, man. Give us some different, at least Survivor fans, but they're trying to find their way. But I like this cast. I'm in on this cast. And it's looking like it could be a pretty good season here.
You guys were saying Emily's the backstabber. I'm doing a quick Google search of the cast, and what does it say? Her pet peeves: nearly everything, chewing, snoring, arrogance, being overly serious, being overly jokey. You name it, and it probably irritates me. She looks like somebody who would be a backstabber. Like just do a little profile judgment here, but
she has like self-awareness about herself too. She's like, I know I'm not that likable and I get agitated easily, but she's like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, these like just kind of like blindly reading these profiles are pretty hilarious in the context of how you guys have seen this season so far.
Would you guys ever go on Survivor? Would you ever do it?
I would really like to. I've got in contact with people who used to work at CBS casting to talk about it levels of I would like to, but I need to actually like take the time and fill out the application and everything. But I think I'd have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've never seriously thought about doing it. People tell me I should at least do an audition tape because at least you could get some content yucks out of it. But I don't know. There's some things I think I'd be really good at, and some things I think I'd be really bad at. Yeah, I don't know. It would be an experience of a lifetime for sure.
Oh my god,
Bring back the man's for it.
Oh, I would do it in a heartbeat. You're like, I mean, for the longest time I couldn't because I was Canadian, but then they opened it up to Canadians in the last couple of years, so.
I didn't know that they had a geographical barrier on it.
Yeah, there was no Canadians on like the first, I want to say, I don't know, 30 plus seasons at least, maybe more. Yeah, there's no Canadians.
I feel like you could totally get on it if you wanted to.
Yeah, you could.
I mean, the only good thing now, it's like I'm getting older. So like they need a couple old people. So like that might be my best chance. But we'll see. I've never really applied, like actually done it. But I should for content's a good reason, and
exactly.
I do know enough people now that I've been told like, hey, we can at least get your resume on the top of the pile. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, but we'll see one of these days.
I was gonna say one of my favorite bits you guys had was it last season or the season before where you guys were like IDing the exact Canadian train stops that those one contestants were on because you guys were familiar with two of them from the same town.
Yeah, they were keeping their Canadian alliance secret. We were convinced that like they were on like the same GO train, like stops basically. We were showing off our Canadian knowledge there with the train system. But Canadians have done really well in the game. Yeah, like for not being on it that long. Like they've had 2 winners, I think, that are Canadian. So I wonder, I think we're going to have a day where Canadians go on the show and will lie about being Canadian. Like they lie about being lawyers. They lie about being doctors. Like they're going to start lying about being Canadians because they'll be like, well, people are going to like, they're going to like, we can't let another Canadian win. So
that is, you guys brought that up on the recent episode where it's like, is there any profession that is safe to stay like what you are without it having some negative connotation? You're either too rich or you're like too savvy or smart, or you're too likable because you're in a selfless profession. It's like, how do you win?
Content creator, Pete. Content
creator. God, I just can picture any 3 of us on there. I guess Andy's could be cooler. Like Andy, do you think your Cryon would say like crypto dev? Like what would you say?
That'd be sick.
I would probably just say like software engineer or something.
Okay. Fantasy draft.
But I don't know. Maybe it's more interesting. Maybe I have a better chance of getting on if I'm like.
It just says 200 best ball drafts on a Tuesday night. That's
professional underdog and draft enterer.
What would be the stuff you would be best at, Skeets, and the stuff that you would be worried about on there?
I think I would be worried about getting agitated at times for sure. Like, and we also got to remember, like, they're not really eating all that much. You're sleeping like on bamboo or on the ground. Like it might rain. That sucks. Rain would do me in, man. Oh God. Yeah. That would be horrible. My best attributes, I think like just, I'm a good listener and I ask a lot of questions, and like, that's like a decent skill, asking people about themselves, and they like to talk about themselves. So I feel like that'd be all right. I'm pretty empathetic that way. But I'd be cold-blooded, man. I would not care. I got enough friends in life. I do not care to be friends with you after this island, man. So I think that would get me in trouble. My wife says I'm a brutal liar too. She's like, you're the worst liar. And I think I'm not good at it, which I mean, good. I don't want to be, but it is a skill you want to have in Survivor where I can look you in the eye and like tell you like a complete lie and you don't pick up on it. I'm not sure I would do all that well.
I can see it now. Your first edit opening episode, they do a testimonial and you get Skeets delivering the classic reality TV line, I'm not here to make friends. I have no friends at home. That's very clippable right there.
There you go. I'd be good in confessionals, I would hope. Having some experience talking to a camera. So
who are your guys' picks at this point to take this down? I'm in a Survivor fantasy league as well with some of the guys in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. So I got my horses in this race already, but let's go around the horn, at least with Andy and Skeets. You're not watching right now, Clay, right?
I'm not, but I will if one of you 3 get on there. I will.
For sure. Andy, who's your pick?
It's hard to say because like, your pick can't be the person who's playing the best right now, or like it probably shouldn't be. And so it's like, I almost tend to want it to be someone who's like kind of playing a little bit more under the radar. I think if there weren't these like hints of Jake having like more medical issues potentially. I do think that he's playing a decent game, just like relatively likable, under the radar guy. But based on seeing in the trailers for the next episode that he like kind of continues to have issues, I don't know. I do think, like, if I'm not going to pick Caleb because it's easy, I do like Kendra, and I think that she like seemingly in kind of a similar vein of Jake, like she fits kind of the profile of someone I could see winning. She's a bartender. She seems really nice. She's like a hard worker. She does a good job in the challenges, and like seems like she has a level head on her shoulders, and has like while living with Bruce, has not been annoyed by him, like put up with people's BS. Yeah, so I'll go with her for now.
What about you,
Canadian?
Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, I'm rooting for Caleb. I want Caleb to win.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to, though. I got a weird feeling Caleb and Emily, though, could be at the end. That would be pretty cool if they were both there. Look, I'll stick with Katura. That was my preseason pick. She's still there. I really like her. I mean, that time lapse she got of talking about how annoying Bruce was like chef's kiss, incredible editing. She's just got to make it through this like Bruce, blinders. Like she just wants to get rid of this annoying uncle type guy, and then she might be okay. But I sort of like, I guess you said Allie's sort of former high school friend or whatever. Or at least when Kelly, is it Kelly? She's pretty good, and she's really under the radar right now. So I'll go Katura, then Kelly, but I want Caleb to win.
It seems like we're all on the same wavelength because I'm getting female winner vibes as well. But I'll toss in a dark horse that I'm kind of thinking right now. I'm going to say D. I like D. Check off toe. Once you show that big toe, there's going to be a big payoff at tribal council, her wiggling that thing around on the final jury. But no, I think she's played like a good game. Like she's in the mix. She's like making friends, but she's not, making noise in any direction in a way that I think she could kind of cruise along, make some good alliances.
She made a little bit of noise at the last tribal council when she voted for Sifu, and he seems very pissed about that.
Yeah, he's just very on edge after
he's
that.
crazy.
The Tai Chi is speeding up. It's turning into karate or something.
We'll give an honorable mention to the two guys working together. I forgot their names.
Austin and Drew, I think.
I do like them.
Students.
They're
they
like
got
a fun combo.
the JT Fishback vibes. I think they've even alluded to that. That little alliance is pretty good. Like the older woman, Julie, D, Austin, and then Drew. And they're sort of folding in people. There could be something there. Like they're pretty good.
I think like it's so powerful in a game like that to have someone who you kind of feel like you can unequivocally trust.
Yeah.
And I feel like they like actually do have that, where the two of them just like they know as a matter of fact that they have each other's backs, which is obviously dangerous as far as people catching on and trying to break it up. But as far as just like having a shot to make it pretty far, I think it's just like such a strong thing to have.
They need to have each other's back, but they also have to believe in the back of their minds that I can also beat this guy at the end. And I think like they both might think that way, which is good for them to like go forward together. Like Dom and Wendell, I think like season 36 were like that. Like they were tight. They told each other everything. They dominated the game, but they both thought they could beat each other. And that was like that was an iconic, split vote basically at the end with those guys.
Yeah, I think it works a lot better when your strengths are so different. Where you very clearly can tell yourself the story of yourself versus the other one.
Yeah.
The Drew thing was so funny because like all of his actual stuff on the show, I've enjoyed him, but that very first opening show where he said he had this like dual personality, where there's like the nerdy, like studious, Ivy League guy, but then there's like the party kegger dude who gets unleashed. I'm like, what is going on? And he's very much just been the nerdy player so far, but I'm like, are we going to see this other side of Drew at some point?
He also sounds like he's putting on a voice. Like he's talking in this super deep voice. Like, but it sounds like a put on voice. I don't know how to explain it. I don't think it is, obviously, but yeah, he's a quirky guy, but him and Austin they're pretty good together.
If you guys are going to recommend, like, besides just like watching it straight through from the rip, like season 1 and binging the whole thing, as I know a lot of people do who get into it, like, is there a particular season that sticks out as like your favorite season to like dive in as like a first watch?
I got one for Clay. an X. Clay, you would love the Millennials Gen X season. I think it's the most accessible season for people. Like, there's some good OG, and Skeets can speak to this better than me, but like even not having the HD and like it's a little harder to get into. Millennials Gen X. It's very fun gameplay, tons of great personalities, and like just a very accessible season. I would say.
From 2016 too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more recent too, which is like it's a different game a little bit.
Yeah, and I would say if you watch one and do enjoy it, it's been a couple of years now, but The Ringer did a really nice write-up forever ago, ranking every single season of the show. And obviously, it's not perfect by any means, but it does do a good job of at least like the ones that are at the bottom are the more boring seasons, and so you could kind of just like rip through their top ones, and any of those are going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, there was a stretch of Survivor like in the 20s that were like they were pretty brutal. Like they lost me. I'm like, I am a diehard. Like I'm pretty sure I checked out. There was a couple of years I'm like, all right, I'm over this, and then I came back and then watched them, and they're still great. Like the worst Survivor episode is still some of the best television, I'm convinced. So yeah, there was some dark seasons there, but yeah, that is a good one, the Gen X one, and then there's like the fans versus favorites ones, and like the All Stars are pretty iconic. But yeah, that's a good one to start with.
Skeets, where can people check you out? You mentioned some Getplayback hangs, obviously no dunks, no buffs. What's the content schedule here?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone over it all. Playback will be tonight. If you're joining us live here, 6:30 to 7:30 tonight. We'll do one tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on Wednesday night for a couple of those NBA games. Only the Western Conference starts tonight. The Eastern Conference gets underway on Wednesday night in the NBA. No dunks every day, 10 a.m. We're on YouTube, whatever podcast platform you use. So search for No Dunks. And then, no buffs if you're a Survivor fan. That's got its own YouTube feed, its own podcast feed. I did no bunts today. I'm filling in for Tas for that, talking a little baseball with my guy Joel in Taiwan. That's on the Athletic Baseball Show feed. And I think that's it. Yeah. Thanks for having me, though.
Yeah, dude, it was great to catch up. It's been too long. Excited to you guys, like if you enjoyed our Survivor talk, you have to go subscribe to No Buffs, pound for pound, the best Survivor podcast out there, and of course No Dunks, always delivering it, and excited to get Tas back in the fold with you guys soon as well. Clay, Andy, any final thoughts here?
Final trip in Brooklyn for me, so I'm out.
Ooh,
it's really setting in. We're moving out.
Hence the boxes there, eh?
Yeah, hence the boxes. That's why I got a messy background. We're full on middle of the pack. It's hard to move in the rest of our apartment at the moment. I actually drug a bunch of shit out of here just so it wasn't so quite ridiculous behind me for the stream today. But yeah, very bittersweet. Very excited for what's ahead. Looking forward to the move and kind of stepping on this new journey after getting married. But definitely, soaking it all in and enjoying last week in New York. It's been a good run.
I should say congrats to all of you on marriages and obviously kids. I know that's a little old news there. You got a sauna too. Congrats on that. That's old news.
Well, I did want to bring that up, man. I mean, that clip was just absolutely wild. There were a lot of misconceptions going on in that clip, and then for some reason it too morph into talking about having sex in a sauna and then involving my dad. I'm like,
yeah, it was
how
strange.
did we end up here?
Yeah, that's the Is This Good podcast with my buddy Matteo. Yeah. Very, very funny podcast where they just debate things, whether or not they're good. He's hilarious. JD does it. I've been on it a handful of times. He has funny guests on too, comedians that are much funnier than I am. But yeah, that was a weird one. We were talking saunas. Yes. And like, you're the only person I knew that had one. And then I said about your dad helping you make it because I had seen an Instagram photo, and then Mattio's running with it. So a funny clip, a funny episode, but hey, the sauna looks cool. I gotta say.
Yeah, well, just to give people background, the initial topic was, are hot tubs good? And then you guys were kind of venturing, like, if you could have one, which would you have? And then you're talking about, like hot tubs are sexy. You have a girl over, you get in the hot tub, and then you were wondering, like, can saunas fit that bill? And I'm like, no, the hot saunas are not sexy. No one wants to have sex in 190-degree heat. Although maybe I can't knock it until I try it. I think that's a great way to end the show. Appreciate Jay Skeets coming on. Check out his media empire over there. No Dunks, No Buffs. Is This Good? Hope you guys have a great opening night of NBA. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.